This is the East River, and there's the 59th Street Bridge, and I am at Sutton Place Park, and as I'm panning the area, you'll note that the area is virtually deserted. And this is on a Sunday evening, September 1st, 2019, New York City. Beautiful weather. It's about 65 degrees, clear, very pleasant, very comfortable weather, and nobody is out except me. Now I'm going to leave the Sutton Place Park, the deserted Sutton Place Park, I should say, I should add, and I'm going to and here are the steps leading to and from the park. No people on the street. Nobody's out. Well, actually, there are across the street 2 people, but other than that, this entire area, I mean the entire Sutton Place, is virtually devoid of pedestrian traffic. In fact, the street itself is devoid of, or practically devoid of vehicular traffic. So this is Sutton Place South and East 55th Street. As you could perceive by the video, nobody's out. Okay. So this is Sutton Place. Beautiful weather, and the sidewalks are virtually empty. More empty sidewalks, virtually devoid of pedestrians. There is one pedestrian walking a dog. Other than that, nobody's around, which is rather strange for New York City, especially Midtown Manhattan. Here's Sutton Place Park, another entrance. Empty. Nobody here. That's the FDR Drive. Well, so he's here. And I'll walk west on East 54th Street, headed towards First Avenue. Once again, please note, no one's on the sidewalk, no pedestrian traffic. And New York has this reputation for being pedestrian friendly. Meanwhile, here in one of the most congested urban locales in the world, there's virtually nobody using the sidewalk right now. And this is optimum weather. The weather's optimal for being outside. Nobody's outside. They're massive, some massive high-rise. Look at this high-rise. Look at that, massive, on East 54th Street. Well, I guess if you have a multi-million-dollar condo that you live in, why go out on the street? It could be the thinking. Who knows? Now I'm heading towards First Avenue. Now there should be some more, at least a little more, pedestrian traffic on First Avenue. Should be. Well, we'll find out soon enough. Okay. Now I'm walking south on First Avenue. Virtually no pedestrians, even on First Avenue. The city that prides itself on being so pedestrian friendly, where you don't need a car, where everything you need is right there outside on the street within walking distance, and very few people are out right now walking. And if they are out walking, they're not doing it here. There's a Madison restaurant. Just passed 3 people. Here comes 3 more. Not exactly a throng of people. Few people across the street, but other than that, nobody's out on the street. Here we are at East 52nd Street. See, somebody's out smoking a funny smelling substance. I'm not going to speculate what it is. This building across the street used to be a women's shelter.
I thought it was. I'll try it once more.
These are the empty streets of New York. See, this is very typical. Hundreds, if not thousands, of empty storefronts. Empty. All empty. Sadly, New York City is a very business unfriendly city. Evidence of that being the hundreds, if not thousands, of empty storefronts just in Manhattan alone. Plus the high taxes and well, frankly, a city administration that is not exactly pro-business. But that's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. That's the First Avenue underpass, about 2 or 3 blocks down. This is one of the exits from the FDR Drive, 49th Street exit. Now I'm crossing First Avenue, going from the east side of First Avenue to the west side of First Avenue. There's a deli. Let me say something about these delis. They may not look very impressive, but they're open at all hours. And if they serve no other purpose, they do make the area just a little less unsafe. There's another storefront. Well, this store actually, oh, they just have the blinds or shades drawn. Once again, let me call to your attention how the streets are virtually
I can't do anything.
empty. Not completely, but virtually empty. This is supposed to be a city where there's so many pedestrians, and the area is virtually deserted right now, devoid of pedestrians. And I'm videoing this to provide documentary evidence to back up, my comments if and when I share my observations with anybody. Now, I'm walking by 845 First Avenue, which is one of Trump's buildings. It is a private residence, not open to the public. So, this is a huge building. This building must be about 700 feet in height, at least. To the left, and about 3 blocks or 4 blocks down, is the United Nations. We're approaching 47th Street. This is Katharine Hepburn Place. You'll note once again, devoid of pedestrians. Devoid of pedestrians. Look at this. Utterly devoid of pedestrians. I'll say it again and again and again to drive home that point. Okay, let me walk west along East 47th Street, walking through Katharine Hepburn Place, named in honor of the famous actress Katharine Hepburn. And I have to say, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I will, she wasn't one of my favorite actresses. Okay, I've seen some of her movies. I was never a fan of Katharine Hepburn. That's the way it is. I'm not saying she wasn't a great actress. I'm not saying that she didn't deserve recognition. She did, but personally, she was not one of my favorite actresses. It's nothing personal. Strictly based upon what I saw of her on the screen. So, I'm approaching 2nd Avenue, and except for a few persons using Katharine Hepburn Place as a outdoor abode, There's nobody on the street except, of course, besides me. You know? So, that's the way it goes. Yeah, there was one of the street persons just relieved themselves on the street. What are you going to do? This is a problem. There are street persons who are on the street, and I call them street persons because they're persons and they're on the street. They actually live on the street. Now, this is at a time of unprecedented economic wealth. So whatever is causing this problem, it's really, due to factors that have nothing to do with, with money. There's other stuff going on here. I'm not going to speculate any further on that. At any rate, now I'm on 2nd Avenue. And 2nd Avenue is virtually devoid of pedestrians. There are a few, certainly not very many. There's so much debris on this street and in the streets in general that sooner or later you're going to step on some kind of object, no matter how carefully you walk. Okay. This is 45th Street. I have a few more pedestrians on the street. Now, let me make this point. I'm not saying that sidewalks need to be packed with people, but I do find it somewhat bizarre that in a city as congested as New York, in an area that is so densely populated like New York, there aren't more people on the street. You know, where that street person on 47th Street relieved himself, he did so within a very short distance from some of the most expensive properties in the world. Let me point that out. And the way it is. Yeah, you see another deli. Yeah, the delis, they provide a modicum of safety. Not a lot, but at least a modicum. They're open. If it weren't for the fact that they're open, I mean, this area would be totally, completely closed down right now. Now, this street has barriers erected. It's close to the United Nations, and there are police out. But other than them, nobody's on the street. Yeah, very nice display. Okay, now we're headed towards East 42nd Street. Oh, another of the numerous storefronts that are vacant. Look at this. Looks like 2,000 or 3,000 square feet. Vacant space. There are entire buildings in this area that are vacant. It's not just storefronts. It's whole buildings that are vacant. All right, here's a tourist bus. Yeah, see?
Not looked over at all.
Across the street at East 41st Street is a deli open. Hooray for the delis, right? You need some food, there they are. Need water, there they are. Need a place just to get off the street, there they are. Okay, 3 cheers for the deli guys and gals. Okay, once again, streets virtually deserted. Now it's not that late out either. I mean, it's not early, but in New York City, you're supposed to have pedestrians, and there aren't any. Oh, I should say, well, take that, there are a few. But given the density of the population here, you would expect much, much more. At least I would. They're not there. Here's a supermarket, Prestides. Oh, giving them free advertising. That's another feature about New York that you don't find in any other big city. At least I haven't. Large supermarkets. I mean, you know, embedded in the city. I don't find that in any other city. Usually you have smaller deli-like supermarkets, but large major supermarkets like you would find in the suburbs Only New York City has them, as far as I know. Okay. Once again, sidewalks virtually devoid of people. This on a Sunday night, very nice weather. I guess the weather itself isn't enough to induce people to come on out and take a walk around your neighborhood. Well, New York is not the kind of place that somebody would want to walk around and just to take a pleasure walk. Yeah. Second Avenue, look at that. Sparse traffic. Very rare to see that or to experience that in New York. Relatively little vehicular traffic. Second Avenue is one of the major avenues in the city. You know, so another deli.